Rams house. On today's episode of the Rams Report, we've got breaking news as Myles Garrett and the Los Angeles Rams have agreed to a reworked contract. On today's show, we're going to talk about what that means for Garrett and maybe more importantly, what it means for the rest of the Rams looking for contract extensions, including Puka Nacua. Let's get right into it. Rams house. Welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report presented by Prize Picks. Like I said, guys, we've got breaking news. And it's kind of confusing breaking news because initially we had just filmed, I'm not going to lie to you guys, on this report. This one from Pro Football Talk came out earlier today describing this as a contract extension. They said finalized a 5-year deal running from 2026 through 2030. For 2026, his compensation package increases to at least $37 million. That report came out at 10:47. I put out a short for you guys, waited for a little more details, tried to see if anything else would come out. I was like, all right, you know what? Let's film our video. And as soon as we did, Ian Rappaport was like, oh, shoot, yeah, hang on. Let me drop some more details around this. So perfect timing, right? Excuse me. However, the details he dropped are incredibly important. So important, they actually just made me cough. Here's what's happening. It is not a contract extension, like Mike Florio initially described. It's a contract rework. So it's the exact same deal that he still had from Cleveland, a $204 million 5-year contract. They did move up some of the money, however. Jeremy Fowler added that Mike Florio was correct on one of the things that he said. The base compensation in 2026 is going to go up from $31.5 to around $37 million, but this isn't going to affect cap numbers. It's only going to affect cash numbers. Remember, those are two very different equations at the end of the day. How much a player takes up of an NFL team's cap versus how much cash they are actually taking home. Those are always two different things. So for Garrett, this is a positive, and it's also an enormous positive for the Rams. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, the original video that we were going to film was a little more doom and gloom. It was about, hey, we don't know how much the new cap numbers are going to be here for Myles Garrett. We don't know what that's going to mean for other guys on this Rams roster. But again, if you haven't seen the cap hits for Myles Garrett and his contract yet, they're all incredibly affordable. Ponzi, can we go back to the cap hits one more time here so we can just emphasize? Again, I want to look at the first 3 years here versus the final two. Because again, that 2031, it's technically 6, but it's really just 5 because 2031 voids out. But focus on 2026 through 2038 here, friends. 3 years, $45 million. That is the cap hit for Myles Garrett. Cash take home is going to be much, much larger. So don't worry about Garrett. He's not going to be rooming with anybody in Los Angeles other than Chloe Kim. However, in 2029 and 2030, his cap hits are going to skyrocket for this Rams team to about $58 million per year. And that can be restructured and reworked. There are void years on this deal as well to protect yourself against that. But here's what that means from a Rams cap perspective. Nothing has changed at this point. Just $16.3 million left for 2026, which is essentially what you need to sign the rookie. So probably not another big additional move, but look at the following 3 years here, guys. $82 million in 2027, $197 near $200 million in 2028, and almost $300 million in 2029. Remember, these three are projected numbers. It could end up being even more. Probably isn't going to end up being less. I was very conservative with my cap projections. So, on the back end of today's show, we're going to turn our eyes towards a different topic. A topic we've discussed a lot on this channel, but that today we're really going to dive into, especially now that Garrett's on the team. How does it change the calculus for this Rams team for these 5 guys? For the other 5 guys from the 2023 draft class who need their money and will want it this year? We're going to break that down coming up on today's episode of the Rams Report. But before we get into that, I got to remind you guys that today ends our Father's Day sale here at Chat Sports. Through the end of the day at midnight tonight, you can still pick up your brand new Flash t-shirt for 20% off, guys. 20% off on the Flash t-shirt, but it isn't just the Flash t-shirt. It is everything in the merch store, guys. Shout out to the head honcho, James Yoder. He has seen fit to give 20% off on everything. Incredibly generous, especially for us Rams fans who have brand new merch around here with our Flash tee. So if you're thinking about picking up a Heart Snatcher shirt or a Flash shirt, now is a great time to do it, especially if you haven't gotten a gift for dad yet for Father's Day. They make an excellent one for the dad in your family. All right, guys, before we get into the rest of today's show, I also have to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is America's #1 sports picks app, our good friends over at Prize Picks. Guys, if you love daily fantasy or you just want to add more excitement to watching sports, you've got to try out Prize Picks. And guys, it's a great time to get started on Prize Picks too. With the NBA Finals underway and the baseball season in full swing, there's no better place to get in on all that action than Prize Picks. Like I did last night, guys. I was actually able to cash one of my lineups on Prize Picks last night, and it was so easy to put it together. All you have to do is pick from 2 to 6 players. You're selecting more or less on their stat projections, whether you're picking from points, assists, rebounds, hits, home runs, or strikeouts. They've got plenty of options for you to choose from. And guys, since I'm hot right now, I thought I would go ahead and show you guys one of the other lineups I've got put together. I'm going with the more on Myles Garrett, the more on Puka, and the less on Christian McCaffrey. So you guys can tell me, you could fade me if you want to go against my hot streak. Whatever you do, just do it with our friends at Prize Picks. And make sure you use our promo code when you sign up. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. The clickable link to download the app is in the comments in the description below. As always, thank you to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Let's get back to the topic at hand here. These guys need money. Can we give it to them? The answer is complicated at the end of the day. It varies on who you're talking about. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. The Rams will not, and I repeat, will not, let Puka go. They will find a way to pay Puka. No matter how much money Myles Garrett is going to get, no matter whether or not Stafford retires after 2026, they're going to find a way to get this deal done. And to me, it comes down to a simple matter of you don't let guys like Puka go. When you have talent like Puka Nacua on your team, when you have a player like Puka Nacua on your roster, you do not let him go. Unless your name is Nico Harrison, you recognize that special talent is special. That special talent drives not only success on the field, it drives success off of it as well for you as a franchise. And if we're being honest, as Rams fans, I think we can be. We need Puka for more than just the on-field impact. He is a fan base builder in Los Angeles. He is a guy that people love to root for. When he is in control of himself and when he is behaving off the field, which lately he has been, he is such an easy guy to root for. And he can build you fans in Los Angeles. He can build a fan base for the Rams in Los Angeles even bigger than it already is. He can help you continue to fill the seats at SoFi Stadium. And that's why, along with the on-field impact, he is worth this kind of money. That's why I think he will get the largest contract that has ever been given to any receiver in NFL history, a 4-year, $172 million contract that'll pay him an average of $43 million annually. And I think the Rams are going to guarantee slightly less of that deal than what was guaranteed to Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I do think that is part of the off-the-field equation. That is a reflection of, hey, Puka, you had some struggles off the field over the last offseason. Show us you've grown and go out and earn a little bit more of this money than Jackson Smith and Jigba had to when he put pen to paper. Is it because JSN is better? No, but undeniably JSN did not have that kind of complicating factor when he signed his contract. Okay, so Puka, we can consider him taken care of. We could say, I think we can all agree the Rams are going to take care of their guy in Puka Nacua. So what's it look like once you do that? Well, 2026 is not affected by a Puka contract. I felt the need to clarify this because I just see it in the comments sometimes. Like, do the Rams have enough money to sign Puka Nacua in 2026? And it's like Puka's contract is not going to affect the 2026 cap. So just so we're clear on that. But 2027 and 2028, which are the easiest to kind of estimate what the cap might be, you're looking at about $38.7 million in space here before you would do any restructures and $152 million in space here. So it leaves you with 4 guys that all still want some money. Kobie Turner, Byron Young, Warren McClendon, and Steve Avila. And next up, for me, it's not really that hard to pick the next highest priority. In my opinion, guys, for this Los Angeles Rams team, the next most obvious priority as far as who you are paying is Kobie Turner. In my opinion, it has to be Kobie Turner over Byron Young. Kobie Turner has proven to be a foundational piece of the interior of this defensive line. And even with the investment into Myles Garrett, I still think keeping him around makes a ton of sense. It's going to be cheaper than keeping around Byron Young. It is undeniably going to be cheaper to keep Kobie Turner, who plays from the interior, than it is to keep Byron Young, who we'll talk about more in a little bit. But number 2, look at the production from Kobie Turner that you have gotten. 24 pressures, 7 sacks last season, and also 9 tackles for loss. This guy makes a huge impact for you in both pass rush and in... Okay, I thought the pressure numbers were really light there. 51 pressures is the actual number of pressures, not 24. I was like, 24 pressures for Kobie Turner? Yeah, no. 51 pressures for Kobie Turner in 2025. I'm not sure why our stat there said 24. But then 54 in 2024 and 74 back in 2023. This guy's produced 179 pressures in his first 3 NFL seasons. And I think he'll only continue to grow now that you've added Myles Garrett, now that you're going to give him more one-on-one opportunities. But the other thing that tells me Kobie Turner should be the guy who gets his money over Byron Young is the Josiah Stewart angle of this. We talked about this a little bit yesterday when we were talking about breakout candidates with Myles Garrett, and I think Josiah Stewart has an opportunity to show this Rams team, you don't need to pay Byron Young. I'm perfectly capable of filling his role, and you can feel comfortable giving out a deal like this to Kobie Turner, one that pays him $117 million over the next 4 years, at an average annual of nearly $30 million, with $70 million of that money guaranteed. It's going to be a hefty payday for the conductor. He can definitely afford to go to whatever performances he is trying to see. I know he is a huge supporter of the arts. So arts in Los Angeles prepared to continue to be supported by a soon-to-be incredibly wealthy Kobie Turner. But 3 more guys need their money here. Byron Young, Warren McClendon, and Steve Avila. All 3 of them are going to need to get paid. We talked about Byron Young already and the angle with him and why it may not make sense for the Rams to pay Byron Young. But the other angle that we haven't talked about yet is Steve Avila and whether or not it will make sense for the Rams to pay him. And I think that's something we'll get into on the back half of today's show. But I want to know, who's next in your opinion? Give me some initials in the comment section. Which of these 3 guys are next to get their payday after Puka and after Kobie Turner? Who is your next biggest priority? I feel like those 2 are the most obvious first 2, but then it starts to get complicated. Which of these 3 guys are you extending? For me, I'm going And I'm going to be honest with you guys here. I'm going with Warren McClendon. And I know this might surprise you. I know it might surprise you. But if I'm the Rams, I'm going with Warren McClendon, and I believe that is exactly what the Rams are going to do as well. I think the Rams want to pay him before his value continues to skyrocket. They saw how well he played in the regular season last year, and they didn't address offensive tackle depth. What did they address in the draft, though? Depth at guard. In the third round, they draft Keegan Trost from Mizzou, who can fill that role if Steve Avila is to exit this roster. If he leaves, Keegan Trost is expected to step in and fill his spot in the exact same way that you would hope Josiah Stewart can for Byron Young. Exactly what we were just talking about. These two guys, Keegan Trost and Josiah Stewart, may have enormous roles on this Rams team. And helping the math work, now that Myles Garrett is a part of it, now that you're going to have to pay Puka, now that you're going to have to pay Kobie, you're going to need to make it all connect, hit on some draft picks. Some of these guys are going to have to show you they are ready to step up so you can have some rookie contracts in the midst of all of this enormous expenditure on Puka, Myles, Kobie, and Stafford, if he's still around in 2027. Who knows exactly what that is going to look like. All right, Rams fans, another busy show. It's been a crazy week in the Rams world. Stick with us. Who knows what's coming next? Make sure you are subscribed with your notifications on right now. This is a great time to have notifications on in case more news breaks. You know we will cover it here on the Rams Report like we always do. We'll see you in the next one. As always, thank you for your time. And as always, let's go Rams.